The story begins in a New York apartment where we meet Grace Covington and Jack Cabot. They care for each other, but Grace grew up as an orphan in a foster home and never discovered who her real parents were. She has been searching for answers for a long time, but found nothing meaningful. One day, she receives a call from Frank Caldwell, a man she likely hired to investigate her past. He tells her he has found an important lead and asks her to come to the South. Frank gives her his home address and says that if he isn't there, she will find a key under a pot. He also warns her to watch out for snakes in the area. Hearing this leaves Grace anxious. After 10 years, she might finally learn who her parents were, maybe even meet her real family. Jack, though arrogant at times, truly loves her and wants to support her. They plan to travel to the rural South together, and Jack also hopes Grace will meet his parents on the way, which makes her feel hopeful. A few days later, Grace and Jack arrive in the South. On the way, they stop at a gas station. Grace talks to the store owner while Jack grabs some items. Grace is still upset because her weekend with Jack's parents didn't go well. She felt unwelcome, and Jack didn't support her. Jack apologizes, and they continue their trip. After they leave, the store owner and 2 girls laugh at them. Frank Caldwell's farmhouse is deep in an isolated forest with no nearby houses. When they reach it, they knock on the door, but no one answers. Jack dislikes the place and the people around here, partly because he's a city guy. The house stands alone in an open field, and there's a pond nearby. Grace remembers Frank's instructions, so she checks under the pot, finds the key, and they go inside. They explore the house, but it's empty. Jack also notices a strange smell in one of the rooms. With no answers yet, Grace refuses to leave until she meets Frank, so they decide to stay. Jack brings in their bags, while Grace goes for a jog in the nearby woods, but she quickly turns back after seeing a snake. Outside, Jack is smoking and spots a wooden pole in the trees with an animal skull and strange objects tied to it. He stares at it, confused, and we see that someone hidden in the woods is watching him. Earlier in the film, we already saw glitches in Grace's phone, and now Jack's AirPods suddenly produce static. These strange tech problems will continue throughout the story. When Grace reaches the farmhouse, she takes off her shoes and gets a call from an unknown number. When she answers, there is only static, and her phone glitches again. A moment later, she notices someone in black standing near the pond, but before she can understand anything, she spots a snake near the sink. Startled, she drops her glass, and broken pieces cut her foot. The snake slips away. Jack arrives soon after and is shocked to see her hurt. Grace explains what happened, and Jack bandages her foot. He brings up the strange pole with the animal skull he saw earlier. Grace tells him it's a southern totem, meant to keep evil spirits away. Jack still feels uneasy and thinks they should leave, but Grace wants to stay until she finds answers, so he agrees. They share a quiet, romantic moment. That evening, while Jack is in the bathroom and Grace is lying in bed, unusual activity starts in the room. Grace dreams of a woman levitating in the woods. Then we, the audience, see a masked man inside their room, someone with strange powers affecting Grace. Jack hears noises and tries to come out, but the door is jammed. Grace enters a trance-like state. A snake crawls onto the bed, and Grace has visions of masked, unclothed cult members standing in the woods. The masked man's influence grows stronger, turning Grace's eyes white. But when Jack finally gets out, the room looks completely normal, and Grace remembers nothing. Jack insists something is wrong with this place, and they should leave. Jack looks for Grace's phone, but can't find it. When he steps outside to put their bags in the car, he notices a satanic symbol drawn on the door and a dead cat lying there. This makes him angry, and he feels someone is trying to scare them. Grace tells him they weren't tricked into coming here. They came by their own choice. Jack wants to leave immediately, but the car won't start. He then sees a cult member standing nearby, which frightens him. When he returns to the house, both of them notice masked cult members forming a line near the property, holding torches. They also see another symbol on the window, and even more cult members standing in the backyard, which increases their fear. Grace also starts to feel that something is truly wrong here. Inside the house, the landline looks like it should work, but Jack still can't reach anyone. When Grace looks outside, she notices more cult members standing in the backyard, which makes both of them even more scared. Jack gets angry and yells at the people outside, threatening them. But Grace suddenly feels something strange, almost like a vision, so she pulls Jack back into the house before anything worse happens. Now they're unsure what to do. Grace's phone is still missing, and even if they find it, there's no reception because her phone keeps glitching. The situation feels more hopeless by the minute. As Grace sits down nervously, Jack tries the landline once more. This time, a distorted voice answers and says, "We only want the girl. Hand her over and leave, or you won't see tomorrow's sunrise." Jack is stunned, but he decides not to tell Grace about the threat. Grace experiences more strange visions, but everything goes quiet again. A little later, someone knocks on the door. Both of them panic, thinking the cult members are trying to get in. Jack picks up an iron poker, ready to defend himself. But the man who enters is actually Wayne, Frank's brother. He seems surprised to see them and asks who they are. Grace and Jack are unsure about him as well. Wayne calls out for Frank, but there is no response. Grace explains why they came here, though Wayne still doesn't fully believe them, and he and Jack end up arguing. Wayne goes to his car to get his phone so he can call the sheriff, but his phone glitches too and completely loses signal. When he comes back, he also sees the cult members outside, which makes him angry. He warns them that they are trespassing and that he has every right to defend the property. Even then, Wayne is clearly scared, and he realizes Grace and Jack are terrified because of these people. Inside, they all start searching the house for a gun. Grace asks if he knows who these people are. Wayne says there are strange stories about this area, but he never paid much attention. Jack wonders if they are satanic worshippers. And strangely, Grace suddenly says their name, Serpent. Wayne is shocked, and even Grace doesn't understand how she knew that name. While searching, Wayne suddenly finds his brother Frank's dead body, which horrifies him. Filled with rage, he rushes outside to confront the cult members. But their leader, who has supernatural powers, stops Wayne instantly, twists his arm, and the cult brutally ends him. Jack and Grace witness all of this with their own eyes. Now they fully realize how dangerous and hopeless their situation has become. The cult members set a large satanic symbol on fire, and the moment the flames rise, Grace starts to feel intense pain. She screams uncontrollably, as if she is suddenly standing in the middle of the forest. Her eyes turn completely white, she cries out loudly, and then collapses. Jack panics and tries to hold her, terrified of what is happening. While unconscious, Grace sees visions of herself running through a foggy forest. Nothing is clear because the entire place is covered in thick mist. Suddenly, a bright light flashes in front of her, making her freeze. The next moment, she wakes up in bed with Jack beside her. Jack tells her she just had a nightmare, but Grace still feels something is wrong. Then Jack's voice suddenly changes, and for a moment, she sees a cult member standing in Jack's place. Her mind is still trapped in the nightmare, but after a moment, everything returns to normal. Grace then asks Jack, if they can kill us so easily, why haven't they done it yet? Jack also realizes the cult has not stepped inside the house at all, which makes the situation even more confusing. They still don't understand anything, but they know they must protect themselves. Jack searches the house for a weapon and finds bullets. When he looks outside through the window, the cult members are still standing, staring directly at the house. Then they light another huge fire. The leader steps forward and points straight at Jack, leaving him even more confused and scared. In the bedroom, Grace finds her phone. Someone keeps calling her. When she answers, the screen flickers, showing the same cult symbol. Grace screams, asking what they want from her. A voice on the other end speaks. The equinox will soon be among us. The serpents are awakening. The world never showed you mercy. They only caused you suffering. Don't you want to become one of us? Grace, overwhelmed and angry, smashes her phone. Hearing the noise, Jack rushes to her to calm her down. While talking, Grace notices Frank's gun lying behind him. She hands it to Jack, but the gun is empty, so they go upstairs to find bullets. Upstairs, Grace suddenly sees a cult member standing behind them. The man attacks Jack, and Grace gets trapped outside the room. She breaks the door open and shoots the attacker. The moment he falls, the rest of the cult members also react in pain, as if they are connected. Jack is shocked by everything. At that moment, a book falls off a shelf. Grace picks it up, an ancient book written partly in Latin. Since Jack knows Latin, he reads it and finally understands who these people are. The book explains that hundreds of years ago, when the early pilgrims came to the New World, they encountered an ancient demon called Uktena. Some of them abandoned Christianity and began worshipping this demon. But the native tribes knew how dangerous Uktena was, so they killed the pilgrims and managed to trap the demon. It was believed that Uktena's followers would someday bring him back in human form, through a master who would give birth to a special child meant to host the demon spirit. This could only happen when a portal opened. And that portal is the equinox, the long night happening right now. Before they can understand what it means for them, the cult member Grace shot comes back to life and attacks Jack again, injuring him. Grace kills him once more and drags Jack outside the room. Another cult member attacks, and because Jack is already wounded, Grace fights him herself. She loses control and beats him repeatedly, shocking Jack. He has never seen Grace this strong. Jack tries to snap her out of it, but Grace, still under their influence, storms outside with the gun. The cult master uses his powers to levitate Grace, completely controlling her body. Jack rushes out and fires the gun toward the cult, breaking their control. Grace falls back to the ground, and Jack quickly grabs her and helps her inside. They try to escape through the back door, but Jack is badly injured and can't run. He tells Grace she has to go alone. Grace refuses at first, but Jack forces her to leave. With no choice, Grace runs into the forest. Jack tries to fight the cult members, but there are too many of them, and they severely injure him. Meanwhile, Grace keeps running through the woods, exactly the same way she saw in her vision earlier, but the forest is filled with cult members in every direction. She doesn't stop. She just keeps pushing forward. Eventually, Grace reaches an open area and freezes. The cult master stands before her, surrounded by a strange bright light. Grace then gets a vision of a man and woman in the forest, shown in an intimate moment, and the woman's body begins to glow with light. It feels like a symbolic image connected to the demon's rebirth. Grace continues running and finally reaches a house. She pounds on the door for help, but no one lets her in. Then she hears a sound coming from below. When she goes downstairs, she sees that the cult members have tied Jack up and he is still alive. At that moment, the cult master approaches Grace, revealed to be a woman, and she calmly welcomes Grace. The woman standing before Grace is actually her mother. She tells Grace that her entire life had only one purpose: to bring their god Uktena back into this world so he could cleanse it of pain and evil. The cult had waited 400 years for this moment, and now the time had finally come. Grace tries to resist, but her mother explains more. In a vision, we see Grace's birth, which was not normal. As she was born, snakes emerged from her mother's body, proving Grace had always been connected to Uktena. Grace realizes that a part of the demon had been inside her from the beginning. Her mother explains that Grace is a vessel, the body through which Uktena will be reborn. Hearing this breaks Grace, and she starts crying. She doesn't want to be part of any of this, but her mother gently convinces her, telling her the world is full of suffering, and once Uktena returns, everything will be reborn into a perfect, peaceful world. Slowly, Grace begins to give in. A cult member hands her a cup of blood to drink. Grace drinks it without hesitation. Immediately, she starts screaming in unbearable pain. Uktena is entering her body. She collapses on the floor, twisting in agony, while the cult, especially her mother, watches in joy. Suddenly, Grace becomes completely still. She rises calmly, no longer herself. Her mother kneels before her and calls her Uktena. Grace's expression has completely changed. She walks to the cult master and destroys her using her new powers. Then Grace, now Uktena, turns on the rest of the cult and kills them too. They are no longer needed, and humans may now face her revenge. In the end, Grace, now fully transformed, also ends Jack's life. After that, she steps outside and begins walking calmly through the open field. Her eyes are completely white, and Uktena has now fully entered this world through her body. She is no longer human. She is the demon reborn, ready to bring destruction. And with that, the film ends.